No one should be using this product. No one. Not a newborn, not a 2-week-old. Nobody should be in these type of products.
So imagine you put your baby down for a nap only to have a near tragedy happen because of a dangerous product. What would you do? That's what we're going to ask the lawyer on this episode. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com. My guest is attorney Jan Hinson, with offices in Greenville, South Carolina and Alpharetta, Georgia. Jan, thank you for making some time and answer our questions today.
Absolutely.
So I know this case hits especially close to home for you. Let's just start at the beginning. Tell us what happened.
When I put my grandson down for a nap at my daughter's school, we found him a short time later, blue and lifeless, in a FisherPrice Rock and Play sleeper. It's an incline seating device, and he was still sitting in the middle, but very ill positioned, with his head sort of cocked down to his shoulder and his torso compressed into the bend of the chair. And I knew that he was in desperate trouble. I picked him up and he was lifeless. He did revive, but the position in that chair caused me great concern.
So every parent, grandparent's nightmare right there. Let's just make sure the baby is doing fine now?
He's doing pretty good.
Okay, good. So what was the problem? What was wrong with this product? Because I assume it was the product that caused this distress?
Yes, it's called positional asphyxia. And babies have to lay flat. The reason why they have to lay flat is because they breathe with their diaphragm, which is a muscle underneath their lungs. And that has to move up and down toward the groin area in order for the baby to properly oxygenate. So when you put a baby in a sitting device, i.e., the baby is not wholly flat, but the baby is bent at the hips, it encourages the baby to compress into that little ball position like they are in the womb. And that's not a good position for a baby to be in if they need oxygen. The second way that they are compromised is that there is no head surround to these products, so the baby is ill positioning their neck, which is an additional problem in positional asphyxia. The third way that babies are compromised in these sitting device products is that if the product has a launch pad, and I'm talking about the foot area coming up at an angle, babies have a positive pressure reflex. It's a primitive reflex that they have at birth. And if you've noticed, when you put your baby on your thighs and bounce them and they try to push up to standing, that's called that positive pressure reflex. Even a tiny infant will push against something they find taut underneath their feet. And if they rise up, the restraint system in these products is not sufficient to keep the baby in the seated position. So they rise up to standing, and then they have a wide berth in the chair in which to turn into the side of the rounded product and into the fabric sides and suffocate. Those are the three ways that babies are compromised in these inclined sleep products.
So there's so many questions, Jan. It's obvious already that you've done a lot of research. You've looked into this. Tell us what happened after the baby was everything was okay. What did you personally do? What did you took this on as a cause, didn't you?
I did. Been practicing law for 23 years, and at the time, I called FisherPrice to report this just horrible event, because it was very upsetting. We had to spend days in the hospital. The baby was 7 weeks old, tiny, had to undergo so many very invasive, horrible tests that were done to him. It was absolutely awful. So I called to tell them, and I was met with a very well-rehearsed response by FisherPrice risk management team. And it made me believe that they had said that many, many times before. So I began to look into the product and the hazards associated, the medical research that existed prior to the beginning of the product, so that I could find out more about what was wrong and what this was actually doing to children.
Well, let's talk a little bit. Obviously, I know there's so much information, but let's talk a little bit about that research. I think as a parent or a grandparent, you would think a product for babies, especially from a huge company like FisherPrice, there must be tons of research making sure that it's safe for the child before they ever put it into the market.
One would think that, but that is not what happened here. So the evidence has shown that this product, though fitting under an existing bassinet and cradle standard, which was a voluntary standard by manufacturers who get together and decide technical measurements and materials for products. The problem with the bassinet and cradle standard was that it lacked a flatness angle. It presumed the baby would be flat. And because of that absence in the wording of that standard, it was able to be created under the standard and marketed as meeting the bassinet and cradle standard.
And again, I would assume they've got a huge panel of doctors, experts, specialists that would test this product and make sure it's safe before the parents are putting their babies in them.
One would think that. However, this was not done here. So this was a fast rush to market, and the medical research and the medical testing was the part that fell through the cracks. As far as the medical research into at what angle should a baby sleep? The American Academy of Pediatrics had put out in 1992 the Back to Sleep campaign, and then added wholly on the back in 2004, 2005. Wholly on the back means the whole baby, horizontal, flat to the earth, not part of the baby raised at a 30-degree angle and the other part raised at the knees toward the chest. That's not what flat means. So I believe that the medical research, had it been done, because I certainly did it, I did it from a Google search, and it was certainly out there that these sitting devices cause oxygen desaturation and oxygen compromise.
So are the products still being sold? Was there a recall? Where do we stand on that?
There was a recall, and it happened April the 12th of 2019. So after the word was getting out and a judge in Georgia unsealed some documents, a lot of people started picking up on the story. There's an additional wrinkle here on the Safer Products website as to what I own. So you can't just look on there and say, oh, there's my product. It maybe just says chair or rocker. It's a very generic description. And we're working to change that statute so that the Consumer Product Safety Commission is able to publish the manufacturer's name and the name of the product without the manufacturer's consent.
So I assume the fact that there was a recall means your grandchild was not the only one that was injured as a result of this product. Has your research shown that, how many people have you been able to find out have been harmed by this, and is there litigation involved?
There are over 450 incidents that have been noted in incline sleep products, and I'm not particularly picking on one manufacturer, though one manufacturer has had more sales than some of the other copycat or similar product manufacturers. But there were 74 deaths noted in a study that was done recently. And this is a problem because more and more deaths are coming out. The Consumer Reports magazine, there's been a young lady there named Rachel Peachman who's been really researching into the intricacies of incline sleep products. And I believe she has gathered so far upwards of 90 deaths in these type of products. They are not safe for any baby, no matter the age. And they were fully recalled in April of 2019.
If the recall was only about a year ago, then that makes you think there's probably still some in use. People haven't heard about it. A lot of times recalls kind of slip through the cracks. There's probably some that are still being used today.
Yes, there are. And some second-party sellers were actually selling these products on Facebook Marketplace, some of the Craigslist. Most of those sites have now taken down the Rock and Play Sleeper and other similar incline sleep products from their website. But I personally have purchased 30 or 40 of these Rock and Play Sleepers off of Facebook Marketplace just to get them out of the stream of commerce and to keep people from using them and perhaps suffering the same type of incident that we suffered as a family.
And speaking of that, Jan, is there? I'm assuming there's some litigation, and if people have been harmed, what is the process?
Yes, the litigation that has been instituted is on a couple of levels. There's a couple of class action lawsuits that have been filed, and then there are individual lawsuits that are filed as to the death or permanent type injuries that have been suffered in the products. So that's called a product liability lawsuit. And I represent parents of children who have been harmed or killed in this sleeper, so that those lawsuits are ongoing.
So what's your advice then for parents who may have one of these sleepers? I'm assuming it's stop using it immediately. If there has been harm, injury, should they hold on to the sleeper, contact you? Walk us through that process quickly.
You should definitely hold on to the sleeper. If you have had a child that has been harmed or killed in the sleeper, don't send it back to the manufacturer. You need to contact an attorney who can help you get the recompense that you deserve for the damage done to your child or perhaps the death of your child. Do not send it back to them. Hold on to the product. If the Consumer Product Safety Commission has taken the chair, then ask them to return it to you so that you actually have the physical product in your possession when you begin the process of seeking recompense.
Such a scary situation, Jan. Thank you for telling us about it and for what you're doing to help make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you so much today.
Yes, no one should be using this product. No one. Not a newborn, not a 2-week-old. Nobody should be in these type of products.
Thank you again, Jan. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Jan Hinson. Offices in Greenville, South Carolina and Alpharetta, Georgia. If you want the best information or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, make sure to go to askthelawyer.com first. Also, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.